Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 193rd episode of the Poorly Planned Podcast. My name is Benedict. You may know me better as BHL Hudson. Here we talk about movies, TV shows, a bunch of nonsense. With me, as always, is my friend, co-host, Croatian vacationing buddy.
Ooh.
Didn't even try to do that on purpose.
God.
Frederick.
Yes, sir.
We back.
We back.
We back from Croatia. We're back from summer.
Back from the dead.
Back from the dead. We're back in
general. We're back in business.
Back in business, boys. Today we are going to be having an exceptional episode. By that I mean, hopefully a pretty good one.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be talking a couple mini reviews. I'm thinking, I'm not going to do all of these, but I'm thinking we'll just run through, or maybe we do like literal little two sentencers.
Okay.
Depending on if you have some, because I think there's like two here that I like.
I've got quite a few.
All right,
I think
we'll figure it out.
We'll see.
And of course, we are finally going to talk about the latest Tom Cruise film.
It's been a month overdue.
A month overdue for this. I mean, a year since the last Tom Cruise film. We did see Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 in 4DX yesterday.
God. And boy, wasn't it an experience.
Boy, do we have thoughts and possible physical injuries from said experience.
I was wheeled here.
But before we get to all that, there are time codes down below, by the way. I just thought we should open it up because it's been a while since we had some anecdotes. We've got some things going on. You went all the way to Japan.
I did.
We kind of glossed over that, so I think just a little Japan recap for the pod fans, then a quick little Croatia recap, and then
we get into it.
We jump into some mini reviews. So there are time codes down below.
I need to remember how many pods have we recorded since I got back from Japan?
Only the one.
Only the one. And we just kind of glanced over.
Just like, yeah, Freddie was gone, I guess.
Okay.
Well, who gives a shit?
What's new, I guess. Went to Japan. Genuinely one of the best trips of my life. It was actually so incredible. We went, did like not a road trip, but we did like a kind of trip all the way around the kind of central part of Japan. Went to Tokyo. Went to Nagoya.
Ooh.
Went to Katsura.
No.
We did. Went to Koya-san.
What?
In the patient's mouth, son. Went to Kyoto.
Yep.
And then we went up to Minakato, I think.
I love Mina Kato.
You son of a bitch.
You looked at me just hoping I wouldn't do you like that.
We had different experiences and different activities we're doing in each of the places, but it was actually a nice kind of well-rounded trip where in the bigger cities like Tokyo and Kyoto, it's a lot more just seeing the city, getting some it's more the stereotypical kind of wow factor of Japanese culture. That was I really loved. And then in the smaller places that I mentioned, it's more going on hikes, going on some of the pilgrim routes, seeing the shrines, relaxing in the hot spring onsens. Just delightful, right? One anecdote from it. Sitting in the hot spring
Yes.
late at night, and the hot springs are completely nude.
Of course.
Which is a freeing experience.
I can imagine.
And I'm sitting there stargazing. I'm just having a good time, right? And I'm the only one in the onsen at the time. I'm like, okay, hopefully no one comes, but if someone comes, it doesn't matter.
It's all good.
It's all good. And then an elderly gentleman comes in from Japan. And I'm like, okay, no worries. Then he sits next to me, and I'm like, oh shit, this is about to get weird. Is my boy about to throw down? Forget the stars. The real star is here. But then, and he doesn't speak any English, I find out, and I obviously don't speak much Japanese. And then he starts talking to me, and I'm like, oh god, we're sitting there completely nude right next to each other, and then we actually just start in the most broken sign language Japanese English kind of hybrid. Start talking to each other and just start chatting about life. This is a beautiful moment.
It's weirdly, incredibly magical.
We were just kind of looking up the stars as we're both sitting there completely nude talking about life.
I mean, yeah, a starlit... There's every aspect of that story, mainly the nudity, adds an element to, I don't know, just a weird magic in the air.
It was, there was a weird magic in the air. I felt sparks. And as you put it, it was a very, by the book... Nick Miller Tran moment.
yeah, it does feel very Tran from New Girl. Nick
you
Miller
are
vibes.
Huge, baby.
But yeah, no, that specifically sounds like it was worth the travel in
just
general.
Worth the experience. But overall, just a brilliant trip. I enjoyed very much.
It looked like an amazing time. I'm not gonna lie, it looked like a very fun time. And
a trip you and I will do together at some point in our lives.
Absolutely. Possible
Boom.
Future bachelor party.
Let's
Who's
go.
to say?
Let's go.
And then we did also the two of us together, we hit a little trip along with some other friends. Irrelevant to the story.
Irrelevant. Not needed.
We went to Split in Croatia, and for like a week-long holiday, and I mean, you know, it's just the best time.
It was just positively delightful.
I don't really have any complaints. I mean, one of the most beautiful places I've ever been.
Yeah.
Incredible blue water, and I think we just had a great game plan where we did quite a lot of stuff, but we didn't
not
do too
too
much
much.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we had some fun nights out. We played some games, saw some. We went to Kraka National Park. If that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, saw some beautiful waterfalls. We played True American one night.
Played True American.
Can I also just say, and not to sound like a braggart, right? I've been on many swimming and basically swimming designated locations on holiday.
You're a Maldives regular.
What can I say? But I think genuinely this might be the holiday I've swam the most.
Yeah, we spent hours,
and especially
in
the two of us. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
from the friend group, they were up, tanning, chatting, playing cards games. It's all good. But there was, and I kind of timed this because I saw when we went in and when we got out of the water. There was one day where, and we might have gotten out like once to like jump in like back into the water.
Sure,
There's like a high diving kind of thing.
Yeah.
We were in the water for 3 hours straight.
I don't doubt it.
Because we were sitting there. It was like the water was quite salty, so you didn't have to like, use too much energy to stay afloat, and the water was the perfect temperature.
And it was
God,
beautiful.
it was good. It was beautiful.
No, not a big complaint. The beaches there, not a lot of sand beaches where we were, a lot of rocky beaches, and I found it not super comfortable to sit on, which is fine because we spent the whole time in the water.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I spent like whole days basically in the water getting out to like re-up sunscreen occasionally. But yeah, it was salty enough where you can float very easily so you don't really get tired. It was just fun. It was not cozy, but it was just...
It was kind of cozy.
It was kind of cozy. It was kinda...
I don't want to say it, but it was hygge.
Big hygge vibes. No, it was awesome. And we did like a boat tour where they had free wine all day on the boat.
God,
and,
yeah.
Saw a pirate ship or not a pirate ship, sunken shipwreck. Whatever. It was awesome. Very good time. Excuse me. Very good time. Highly recommend. Just kind of a magical thing.
And we were our Uber driver's name, literally God.
Yeah, our Uber driver was called God, which is kind of intense, but also
so baller.
Dare I say epic? Dare I say kind of a holy trip? The final note I'd say is that basically in the past couple of years that I've discovered, because also last year I went to Lisbon and all this kind of stuff, there are these places when you're a kid and you imagine when I'm an adult, I'm going to go on vacations and I'm going to see these beautiful things. And as you become an adult, you're thinking like, oh, was this kind of in my head? Was this like from movies like that water can look this pretty and that, you can have these kind of almost cartoonishly nice vacations sitting there sipping wine on a boat, whatever. And for the past couple of years, it's very possible. I'm not that, like on a pretty good budget, I'm not going to lie. We're not very rich men.
We are not the richest of dudes.
This was funded by ourselves, and it's quite a manageable thing. So
honestly,
highly recommend Split Croatia out there to anyone. I mean, okay, we shouldn't be ungrateful for our positions in life.
Exactly.
I'm sure there's some people who cannot do this, to be clear. But we're not like,
But this is not a top 1% kind of
right?
thing.
Yeah, it's
hopefully.
We discover our place in the world with this podcast.
We discover with this podcast. This podcast has put us highest possible ranking.
We are the #1 tax bracket. Anyway, awesome stuff. Great things.
New rap album just dropped. Awesome stuff. Great things.
Should we get into some mini reviews?
I think we should.
There are also ones that are not included here, but over the summer I went on a bit of a, as they say, a kino binge.
Bit of a kino rampage.
As all the cool kids say.
I went on a kino binge.
Them top 1%ers. The ladies swoon when I say this.
The people who can go to Croatia
go
on kino binges.
And I watched other stuff like The Godfather and Scarface and stuff, and
who wants to talk about that?
Real quick, just some ones that I had some brief thoughts on. I'll just ramble these off. 7 Psychopaths. A very fun, quite nutty movie.
Okay.
It's Martin McDonagh, who did In Bruges, did 3 Billboards, Banshees of Inisherin. I think this is his only other movie. It does star the Farrell and the Rockwell.
Ooh.
And what's he called? Fuck, what's his name? Oh, the give me someone to say in his accent. Christopher Walken.
Oh, his name.
Yeah. Guess who it was?
I wonder who that could be.
And
Christopher Walken.
That was a pretty good one.
I'm walking here.
Yeah, it was the dark comedy like the other ones. Just a very funny movie. Good time.
Okay.
Very nutty Farrell performance. He's like an
Nutty
alcoholic screenwriter.
Okay.
I watched Alien and Aliens. Just quite good movies.
Nice. Are those are the original ones with
with
Ripley?
Ripley. I See the Hype. Good movies. And I'll say Her as well. I watched Her. Not gonna lie.
Kind of mid?
Little bit mid. I don't know.
I've not seen it.
Because I'd heard so many. I'd heard.
Ooh, very nice.
I'd heard a lot of really good things. And it's one of those, especially on Letterboxd, it's one of those, like, everyone has to watch Her, and if you're a film person, whatever.
Okay.
And it was definitely good. Joaquin, as you'd expect.
Good Joaquin.
Very good.
Okay.
You know, there is good chemistry there. I think it was a victim of being overhyped.
Her, it's Joaquin and...
Christopher Walken. The sexiest AI voice. Him and Scarlett Johansson. And, yeah, but it just didn't strike me. I was like, I finished it and I don't know, I don't want to say I was like, oh, that was it. But I was kind of like, okay, you know.
Okay.
It was a good movie. It was a good movie, but it wasn't...
So what's the plot?
He falls in love with Scarlett Johansson robot, and then it's like, can you love a AI robot? And then it kind of... I can't even remember now what I was thinking, but I talked about it to a friend who also thought it was pretty mid. And it was like... I don't know, there were some unintentionally kind of funny moments.
Okay.
There's some interesting stuff about, like, romance and sex and this kind of stuff. And then there are a couple of Joaquin masturbating scenes that were, like, not super on.
There's a couple? There's multiple Joaquin masturbation scenes in this movie.
So. I think the script probably had multiple Phoenix touches himself, directions.
As they're reading the script out loud in the entire room, you just see Joaquin crack a smile. It's time to really put on a show.
No, but I don't
the
know.
Joaquin Phoenix rises.
I can't even remember exactly what the scenes were, but not the masturbating ones. I remember the
I remember everything.
But there were a couple moments that were kind of unintentionally funny. And I don't know, it was just like, it was good. It was fine, but it wasn't, I was like, okay, that was kind of exactly what I thought would happen in it, and then it was kind of just over, and I was like, all right, it was good. It was good. It was good.
It's good. It's good. It's good. All right. Well, let me hit you with a few ones that I watched on the plane to and from Japan.
A lengthy trip.
A lengthy trip, to be sure. I'll start off with these three. I did watch The Hangover 1 and 2.
Oh.
Classic movies.
Especially the first one.
Especially the first one. Hangover 2, not as good as I remembered it, but still enjoyable, I think. I don't remember... I remember the third one being not so great, but that wasn't an option on the movie on the plane, so I was like, you know what, that's
so
fine by me.
You rioted.
So,
get me the fucking Hangover 3!
Where the fuck is Cooper? But so it was, just good times. I think we've talked about them before on the pod and stuff. Just enjoyable.
That's such a bro moment. I think we've all seen The Hangover around here.
The Hangover, we've all had one. We've all seen it. You know how it is. Enjoyable Galifianakis.
Right.
And then, I don't know if you've heard of this, but I watched Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham.
No, I've not heard of. I mean, it's like is an animated one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My lord, is it mid?
What? What a strange choice.
I don't know.
You're like, you know what? Hangover 1, 2. I'm in the movie watching mood. Mm-hmm. Let's do Batman. Gotham's time.
Batman Gotham's time. I don't know. The Doom That Came to Gotham, sir.
Okay, sorry.
So weird. It's one of the weirdest weirdest movies I've ever seen. It's like Batman, but it's like in the 1920s or something.
Oh.
In
is
Gotham.
Is he a steampunk kind of thing?
No.
Put away my fan art? Wait a minute, this is steampunk Batman assembling costume as I'm saying it.
Boom. Do you mind if I spoil this movie for you?
Not remotely. I'd never even heard of it.
Okay, well, don't watch it, I wouldn't say.
Okay.
So Batman is like an explorer who's out exploring.
Right.
He comes across, I think he goes to the Arctic or something. Okay. And he finds the Penguin.
Sorry. The man?
The man. So he's like trying to find him because his ship, the Penguin is like a mad scientist. He's not especially like a villain in it.
Okay.
He's like some mad scientist. He's gone off, and then he finds his ship like frozen in the ice in the Arctic, right? And Batman's like, oh no, I'm gonna go Christopher walking around. I'm gonna find him. He goes into a cave system, finds some weird like people who are like infested with some like alien germ or curse or something, right? Whatever's going on, I don't know. And then they're like, oh shit, we gotta run. We've unleashed something in the world that shouldn't have been, it's been frozen for thousands of years. And then as they leave, they see like a naked penguin who's like transformed into some beast like in the Arctic. Anyways,
Sorry, that seems like not an unrelated side. That seems like a very major point. Anyway, naked penguin, he's kind of a beast. I don't know.
He's never mentioned again. They're looking for him, and then he's found, and they just leave.
Okay.
But anyways, and the plot is that they capture one of the people who's been like infected by this thing, and then they bring it back to Gotham. Very smart, you know. And then there's a whole thing that like Ra's al Ghul is like some ancient guy who's getting resurrected.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Checks out.
And Batman's got these 3 kids with him that are like his Robins and stuff like that. There's like 1 girl, 2 guys. 2 of the kids die like gruesome deaths.
This is like a rated R animated movie?
I don't think so.
Okay. How gruesome are we talking?
Well, one is frozen to death, and the other, I forget how. But one is just like straight up frozen to death, and you just see him like, ah. And Batman just does not give a shit at all. Like it's never actually mentioned that he cares that these kids
Batman
died.
seems to just move past things very quickly in this movie. Just giant naked penguin.
Well, it's like
your kids dying.
So much happens in this movie, and it's only like 80 minutes long, right? So it's like a lot of it's very fast paced. And then he's got like a really good friend that I forget the name of, but he's suddenly a knight.
Okay.
And he fights, and then he dies, and then Batman's like, no, and then forgets about him as well. And then in the end, they fight in some like gooey alternative reality that Harvey, what's his name? Harvey Dent. He's like been infected with the thing as well. I realize I'm laying a lot on you here.
Yeah, no, this is a
and then his Two-Face, like he thinks it's poison ivy, and then that turns into a portal that then leads to another reality. Such a fucked up thing. And then the movie ends with Batman. There's like a prophecy in his head that's been going throughout the entire movie. To win the battle, the Bat must die. No, Bruce Wayne must die, and the Bat must live. Right? And then Batman literally turns into a human bat. Like literally turns into a bat, and that's the end of the movie.
Huh.
So weird. One of the strange. I just sat there. I was like, God, I want to watch The Hangover 3 now.
This wasn't a like
fever dream I had.
Drugged sake scenario.
I'm not. But yeah, so watch that. So weird.
Huh. Why was it in the 1920s?
I don't know. I literally could not answer a single thing about that movie.
I mean, weirdly, kind of respect for like. Sorry, I'm just awkwardly climbing in my chair. Respect for like going for something, but I just also just throwing shit at something. I guess isn't really going for something.
I don't know. I could not tell you.
Interesting.
Yeah, very strange.
Well, kind of sounds like a shout.
Go on, sir.
Well, speaking of very weird animated movies, although I would say in a much more positive light.
Okay.
I did watch Spirited Away.
Brilliant movie.
My first ever Studio Ghibli movie.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Super, super weird.
Yeah.
It felt like like a dream. Like, yeah, very much like a dream, with all like... I will say plot kind of hard to follow sometimes, which I felt kind of stupid because it was a kid's movie. But I mean, suddenly I was like, wait, the bird woman, she has a twin sister. This is a different. Are they both?
Going on?
And then you have to keep track of who's been transformed into what animal and whatnot. But if you just kind of let the vibes wash over you,
sit back, relax a bit,
enjoy the visuals. Amazing movie.
Do you agree that it should be in like one of the best movies of all time contention? Because everyone's talking about that. I'm like, I really like it, but I wouldn't say it's that great.
I think. Because of like how I don't know, I've never seen anything like it. So for uniqueness alone, I could
Okay.
I could abide that.
Okay.
Then I also watched The Raid, which I believe is in. Have you heard of this?
Maybe.
The Raid and The Raid 2, very famous for being like 2 of the most insane action movies ever. I think they're Indonesian action movies, and they're like, it's like. I mean, it's fucking crazy in terms of like choreography, fucking fight sequences. Basically, yeah, they're famous for being like these mind-blowing action set pieces. And this one, story's whatever, you're there for the action.
Is it in English or
no? It's in Indonesian, I guess, if that's what they speak there. I apologize, but it's about like
don't sue me, I'm sorry.
It's like this SWAT team kind of thing that have to go into this drug lord's building. It's kind of like Dread vibes. I think it came out before Dread. They have to go in this building, and the building locks down. They basically just have to just fight, gunfight, fist fight, fucking knife fight, all this shit. Crazy action sequences, some of the most insane hand-to-hand combat you'll ever see on film. I think you'd love it. Okay. It's fucking awesome. Just great action. That's all I gotta say.
A big recommend then.
Big recommend. And the other day I watched Black Swan.
You dirty dog.
Oh, is it known for?
I guess
the lesbian scene.
I think it's known for the lesbian scene.
Oh, I watched it for the ballet.
I watched it for that.
Not even gonna hide it. That's all I watched. No, because it's on this, like, it's on Letterboxd all the time, and it's like, oh, Black Swan's such a monumental movie. You know what? Kind of bad.
Ooh.
Kind of a bad movie, straight up.
What about the scene? Pretty good.
It has a lot going for it, and it just, I don't know, it's Darren Aronofsky, who the only other film of his I've seen is, in fact, The Whale. His style is, like, to not be very subtle and to be quite obvious, as seen by the title of The Whale. But it's like, I don't know, this movie, there's a saying in fighting. It was his fight to lose, where it basically means, like,
Okay.
he had everything going for him, and he or she, like, kind of gave the fight. Like, if they just kind of showed up and did their thing, they'd be fine. And they fucked it up for themselves. This movie, it has so much going for it. It has, like, amazing performances. Natalie Portman's amazing. Like, great cinematography. A really cool premise, kind of tortured artist going insane. Her world's changing. It's what's real, what's not. And then it just gets so fucking stupid, and it's so in your face about it. And she's, like, literally turning into a swan.
Oh, what?
Which leads to
She's literally turning into a swan.
I mean, like, on screen, but it's a metaphor, because, like, she's playing this Black Swan in the play, and now she's actually turning into the Black Swan.
The doy.
Which leads to the funniest moment in the film, where she has a nightmare sequence where she, like, her knees bend backwards as if she's like Big Bird, and then she falls and smacks her head on the table, and it's really funny. But the rest of it is
there's this hilarious comedy routine where she breaks her legs and hits her head on a table,
and it just turns into, like, a cheesy horror movie. And I was kind of thinking, like, I was kind of waiting for the next layer of it, where I was like, okay, this is kind of like a bad horror movie with, like, just, like, jump scares and stuff. And I was like, is this, like, ironic? Is there another? But I think that was just it.
That was it.
And I don't know, just not very good. Has some really good stuff in it, but
I bet it did.
Trying to review a movie here with this creep. Anyway, Black Swan, mid
to bad.
Mid to bad.
Wow,
Yeah.
I've not seen it. On the way back from Japan, did a little Christopher Nolan kino binge.
Christopher Nolan. Sorry, I was really excited to do that.
I've been waiting my whole life. Yeah, you very much. Your eyes lit up like I'd never seen before. Christopher Nolan. But I did watch Dunkirk and The Prestige. Dunkirk, very, very good war movie. I enjoyed. Didn't love Harry Styles in it. Not because his acting was bad, but I just always find it so off-putting seeing him in a movie.
It's quite distracting.
I'm just like, oh my god, it's Mr. He's Mr. Styles.
All right, yours sounds like an offensive accent of some kind.
Mine is proper.
Mine is prestigious. Yours is racist.
And then The Prestige, so good. I'd never seen it before, and it was actually.
You'd never seen The Prestige?
I think I started watching it, and then I just never really fully.
The Jackman Bale
Jackman Bale, so good, and the twist at the end,
very good,
so good.
That sounded like walking. Wow.
Now that was racist. But yeah, won't say too much because we're time pressure. But I'm gonna say those two movies, especially The Prestige, very, very enjoyable. I think The Prestige, top 3 Nolan movies for me, definitely. Dunkirk, maybe top 5.
Dunkirk would not be in my top 5. I'm not gonna lie. We had an argument about this on the Croatia Streets media scene. We had a drunken battle of Nolan rankings,
and then we talked about Coach Carter a bunch.
We did. What the fuck was happening? How fucked up were we that night?
Oh my
That's
God.
our version of the Hangover. Instead of we did some weird.
Instead of we wake up with a tattoo in our face and missing a tooth, we just talked about
Coach Carter. But yeah, I would say Dunkirk towards the bottom for me, but The Prestige, an underrated gem. Well, my last one here that I'll do real quick, because I have to talk about it. And I think we mentioned this. I mentioned it in Croatia.
Can I start this by saying, you said your favorite movie of all time is what you said.
And I stand by it.
Wow, that's a claim
It's a big one, but I'm putting this out there. Again, this always, it alters and changes over time.
Bridget Jones.
I watched Before Sunset, which I don't know if I talked about Before Sunrise on this podcast.
I don't think you ever have.
Also amazing. It's, if you haven't heard of it, it's a trilogy: Before Sunrise, Sunset, and Midnight. It's Ethan Hawke and Celine. I can't remember the actress's name. I'm sorry. Celine Dion. The first one is these two strangers. They meet in I think Vienna, and they fall kind of in love, and then they have to leave, and you don't know if they're ever going to see each other again and all this stuff. It's very beautiful. It's an amazing film. The second one takes place in real time I think 12 years later from like when the first one came out in 94.
When you say in
second
real
one,
time.
So second one came out in 2006.
I was going to say, I was watching it happen.
Ethan Hawke was there. But it actually is also all in real time in the sense that it's like an 80-minute movie and it takes place over 80 minutes. Like you follow them around the thing. And they...
Oh, that's so weird, but also cool.
But it works so well. It's... Yeah, and it's them reconnecting after all this time, and it just, yeah, this is not really the format to get into a deep analysis or whatever, but just in terms of everything like a film can do well, it just does everything perfectly. It has perfect performances. It's shot and staged incredibly well. You never notice that you're like following them in real time. Like it just feels so natural. And it just felt like incredibly human. Like all the interactions, it captures that like every part of sort of a conversation with someone. Like there's sort of the initial awkwardness and then the familiarity and sort of the joking and then kind of some tension. It's like, yeah, just a phenomenal film and the best film ending I've ever seen.
Ooh, and so, but does this one then... So have you seen Before Midnight?
I have not. I'm very excited for it.
Okay. So does this one end it and it doesn't really lead up to a thirquel? Or...
Well, I mean... You know, the first one didn't necessarily need a sequel anyway. It's kind of, it's very realistic.
So it is like an ending. It's not like kind of...
Yeah, no, you totally stop there and then that works. Okay. But you can also see how they would make a third one. Just, yeah, I would say when I watched it, I just thought, like, that is the best movie I've ever seen. Period.
Damn.
And it's been like a month since then, and I still stand by
really need
that.
to get on this train.
Do
you need to watch the first one before?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
100%. Okay.
Very much so. But yeah.
Man, okay.
Putting it out
because that's when you said that, like you said it with such like, you know, conviction and just like you really meant it.
I feel like, strong. It hit it.
That's hard. It's not often you do that. You had it slightly with La La Land, Baby Driver a bit, but now this is.
It's a when a film hits a certain emotional chord in you, you can't
ignore it.
You can't deny it. So yeah, Before Sunset, phenomenal film. Cannot recommend those first two and probably the third. I'll get back to when I've seen it enough.
Very nice. All right. Well.
Stage is yours.
Thank you, sir. I believe it was 2 days ago. I watched
Bridget Jones.
The greatest movie, undoubtedly.
You one-up me?
Jack and Jill. No. I watched The Bone Collector. Are you familiar? It's like a thriller serial killer kind of thing. Okay. Starring Denzel.
Oh.
And Angelina Jolie's breakout role in Hollywood.
Oh, so it's a bit of an older film.
It's a bit of an older one. I think it's like 1999 maybe or something.
The Bone Collector.
The Bone Collector. And basically Denzel plays this I guess detective. There's a forensics lead of forensics or something. I don't know. Who in a previous at a previous crime scene, he's been paralyzed from the neck down in like an accident where like something fell on him. So he's like, you know, he's in his bed, just kind of, you can move one finger and then function from the neck upwards. And then Angelina Jolie is a like kind of low-level police officer who's got a knack for the job. She's out on the street like fighting drugs and stuff, but like, you know, she's got that detective spark, if you will. She then comes across the first murder of where like there's certain things about the crime scene that she thinks is a bit off. It could like, it's kind of ruled to be because like a husband and wife are kidnapped, right? And then the husband turns up dead with like the wedding what's it called, the ring finger kind of carved off and like stuff like that. It's made to look like the wife did it, right? But there's certain things about the crime scene that are kind of off, where like the killer has staged it, right? Angelina, she on it. She takes some pictures before like it's ruined by other police officers, the scene and stuff like that, and takes it to Denzel, and then they form like a beautiful kind of. It's a mixture between a romance and a kind of mentor-student kind of relationship. I'm not quite sure. I feel like it turns into a bit of romance, but at the same time, there's also just like, you know, just very, very familiar throughout the movie. And then it's them kind of like from kill to kill, kind of leading this, like being led on a goose chase, you know, this whole thing. And then it's got a very, it's got a bit of a twist towards the end that I think it works, but at the same time, I think it may have been better if. Do you want me? Can I spoil this for you?
Sure.
Or it's a very good movie, so I would recommend. But so what are you saying here?
Yeah, go for it.
So it's like revealed at the end that the entire thing has kind of been leading up to the killer making his way to Denzel, right?
Collecting his bones.
Wanting to collect that Denzel boner.
Right.
Denzel Bonington, if you will.
I won't.
I shan't. And it's like some like guy who Denzel apparently like rightfully so, but like he felt fucked over by Denzel in the past. So he's like made a new identity and like gotten closer and closer to him. And it's a guy like you've seen throughout the movie, and so like that's a big twist. I just feel like it's a bit like I think it would have hit harder if it's just some random psycho that they're after, right? Instead of it being like, you know, all a premeditated thing to get to Denzel. Still works. Great movie, but ending I think could have been better, but still very enjoyable. And yeah, just a really, really good and intense film. Very Seven-esque.
I was gonna say this sounds a lot like Seven.
It's very Seven-esque, yeah.
Interesting. I've never heard of The Bone Collector.
I would recommend it.
Sounds pretty good, yeah. I'm not I think you're a little more into that kind of Finchery thriller vibe. Like
you're more the Ethan Hawke falls in love in 80 minutes kind of thing.
It's a good time. But fair enough, yeah, Bone Collector. I might put that on the list.
You should. Boom. That's what's that? 35 minutes of mini reviews.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Speaking of Bone Collectors,
absolutely.
Simon Pegg stars. We are going to talk about Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Sir.
A month late, but it is what it is. It took us this long to
and this the experience we got out of this definitely worth the wait.
How about we address that at the end? The 4D part of it.
We address it at the end, you say?
I do say.
Okay.
Let's talk movie first, and then the insane circus-esque scenario in which we saw this
I like it.
So I've now seen this movie twice, and
had to do a repeat with this fool.
Man is not a professional. And I feel the exact same way about it both times. I liked it quite a lot. Thought it was quite a lot of fun. Definitely not as good as the last three, I'd say.
Okay.
That'd be 4, 5, 6. Closer to a Mission Impossible 3 level. In that they're both quite good for different reasons.
Very, very different tones.
Very different reasons that they succeed in the way they do. I had a good time with it. Maybe I was a little disappointed, but I don't know. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think we have to keep in mind that this is a two-parter, right? So it might not feel as conclusive or as satisfying as some other of the Mission Impossible movies, but I'd agree. I think it's I don't know, the what is it? The fifth one I think is really good, but I think that's definitely weaker than 4 and 6. So I'd say this one's closer to the fifth one for me than the third one. Yeah, but still enjoyable. Felt a lot more, a bit Looney Tunesy at times, but in a way way that kind of worked for us.
I think
it's definitely the hardest I've ever laughed watching a Mission Impossible, and there are reasons for that, which we'll get into.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the 4D played a little bit of a part in that for sure. But I think the action in the film, I don't even think the action is as good as Fallout, but I think the action is far and away the best part. Actually, you know what? I would compare this film a lot to John Wick 3, which I think still good, definitely my least favorite of the series, because the action in that is phenomenal, and I didn't love the story, really. And it's kind of the same thing here. I think the action's great. There's some really memorable stuff. There's some really funny stuff. Yeah. Very farcical, as we'll get to.
Honestly, it was ridiculous at points, but it still worked.
I mean, let's talk action. I think I liked how stupid it got, like how funny it was.
It got so silly.
It got really cartoonish.
It's been silly other times, but I feel like a lot of the time when it's been silly and over the top in the past, it's at least felt like there was a definite kind of purpose and reason for it. Whereas I think, and again, I loved the scene where Cruise jumps off the cliff, right? But in that scene, I feel like it was made, like they just kind of made that happen because Simon Pegg was like, well, you know, you gotta...
Yeah, well...
And you kind of like made him drive up a mountain. It's just like, you're very clear just like leading up to it. Whereas like, I think many times before, the spectacle of the action has been incorporated a lot better, whereas this one felt a little bit shoehorned into the movie, if you get what I mean.
Totally. By the way, spoilers for Mission Impossible 7. Let's just do it.
Let's just do it.
I feel the same way. I think, yeah, there was, especially, I mean, let's talk the big stunt. Kind of underwhelming, I'm not gonna lie. Yes, it's like, as a thing he did, if I witnessed Tom Cruise doing these things in person, that would probably be the craziest one I'd seen in person. Cinematically, comparatively to other ones, it's over very quickly.
Yeah.
And it's like, it looks great, it's cool.
It does, yeah.
But it's kind of like, it's just a moment, and I feel like they get a lot more winking at the audience here, where in the other ones, yeah, of course, it's like crazy, you know, they really highlight like he's really on the plane. But this one there were like 8 establishing shots, like wait, it's the cliff, it's the cliff, it's the cliff, and it's
they
like
had all like the specials leading up to it. And I was like,
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, we see him parachute multiple times in other like,
it's
and again, it's a cool stunt, but
Yeah.
it's not like it's no helicopter chase scene.
that's the thing. Also,
It's
that
no
scene
Burj Khalifa.
and the helicopter scene from the last film, which I think is maybe the best action scene like I've ever seen in the cinema, like in a film that I've actually seen like on the big screen, because that shit like floored me, and it goes on for like 20 minutes, and this is like kind of, you know, over in one. And there's lots of other action that happens, but in terms of like big stunt, that was like a extended thing. You're like, holy shit, I can't believe they did this. And this one was like, oh yeah, Tom Cruise did that, and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, still cool.
But can I just say, like, I think the stunt, there's put a lot of emphasis on it in the movie, right? But if you go into the movie without knowing that it's all real and stuff like that, it's like, okay.
Yeah, it'd be weird. It's like, why is there's
Why is
like 20 minutes of buildup of Cruise biking like a madman on this
Exactly,
little
but-
side quest through
And
the
this,
forest.
well, that's what we were laughing throughout the movie as well, because like there's like intense plane or train stuff going on. They're
Yeah.
fighting. There's like
Revelations and
they're wearing
twists.
masks, and then like it cut to
Cruise just in the forest.
just cruising along on his dirt bike in the forest.
But other action scenes, I fucking loved the Rome car chase.
Yeah, that was
like
great.
I get, that's the most cartoonish, and it's so, but in like a great way. They do that a bit in Mission Impossible 4, where it gets a bit goofy, and again in a way that I love. And this one, yeah, they're just like slamming into shit, going down
Slamming.
stairs, fucking
Weird
Cruise impotence
jokes. Yeah. Sorry, this never happens.
Sorry, this
drives into wall.
Cruise is awkwardly fiddling with the car. Sorry, it's the way they design the cars.
Yeah. And just with that in the car thing, the Haley Atwell and Cruise, beautiful chemistry.
Pretty great dynamic. I'm
I'm
gonna lie.
honestly-
like
I'm-
no disrespect to Rebecca Ferguson. I never really clicked with that character.
Yeah. I'll
much.
disrespect her. I really did not like her character. And again, she might be a great actress. I always found her a bit boring whenever she was on screen. I was like, come on.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So now that she's gone,
yeah, well, I think
happy days.
I don't know. There wasn't like she was cool, but there wasn't like a lot to her.
There
like,
wasn't
she
much
sort of-
substance
she-
to her.
Yeah, and like her and Cruise didn't really. I never got like a real sense of chemistry.
Yeah, no,
in like a friendship way, you know. And,
Yeah.
by the way,
not a romantic way either, really.
that's the thing. Also, I don't really understand the like Cruise sexlessness. It's like because him and Haley Atwell are very flirtatious at the start, and then in the end, it's kind of like a much more of like a mentor role. I don't know, but Haley Atwell, just a really incredibly, I don't know, just a really likable presence in the movie. Very charismatic,
a breath of
cool,
fresh air.
fun. Feels like she holds her own in the group totally.
Definitely, and she also like she brings an element of like I don't know realism in a little bit because she's like, what the hell?
Yeah,
I can't do this. Like she's
a bit of an outsider.
She's acting like we would probably act in that situation.
Yeah.
Well, you.
Okay.
I'm more Cruise.
You're more Ving.
I'll take that.
Yeah, just the last thing on Haley Atwell. What were you saying? Oh yeah, like a new, like again, like with Rebecca Ferguson, she's cool spy person, but she's kind of, I think that maybe made her also less easy to connect to as a character because she's sort of like immediately in this spy world.
Yeah.
Haley Atwell comes in as like a new member. Other members of the team. By the way, on Cruise, I enjoyed some of the unhinged Cruise moments in this, especially the airport scene. The airport scene in general is really fun. But when Cruise is like, if there's a nuclear bomb, you bother me with it.
Yeah.
Les Grossmaning it a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. There was a lot of Cruise felt throughout this entire movie. He felt a lot more incompetent than he's done in other movies. I feel.
Yeah.
And in a way, again, it works to the tone of the movie and everything. But there's a lot of like where he just kind of gets away with it. Where it's like in the previous movies, have been like, oh yeah, there's no plan. He just improvises. But this one, he clearly just gets so lucky all the time.
Yeah, he does. That whole airport thing is a lot of fun as well. The final train sequence is fun. Should we? Let's talk cartoonishness. Because that last scene literally turns into like a Looney Tunes fucking. They're going.
Oh
up
my god, the grand piano.
They're going up first. They go up the fucking kitchen cart and like the fire's going and they're slipping in soup and all that shit. It's literally like a Benny Hill sketch and then fucking a grand piano.
If you put some Benny Hill music over that,
They're standing there and then the grand piano's about to fall on them and it's like I don't know. I enjoyed it a lot though.
Yeah.
I will say that scene doesn't for like the big finale. It's not as like spectacular as again like the helicopter thing, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
I agree. But again, it does. I think what must be kept in mind is that it is a two-parter. So I think they've done this kind of because they can't end it on a huge thing. I don't think.
I guess
if it's moving into something else. So the next movie they better fucking deliver.
Better bring it. Yeah.
I very much enjoyed the scene where Cruise is like wants to jump over to the other side as the grand piano is falling down and Haley Atwell just won't let him go.
Yeah. And
Again,
then
fun chemistry.
no, there's
Something you haven't really seen that much in this. I don't know, because like Cruise is a cool guy who's obviously like he's had his own like reasons and like people he wants to protect and stuff like that. But I don't feel like you've really seen him with another like human being in these movies where he's properly like has some back and forth like for a longer period of time.
Yeah, and also to see her, with the exception of that kind of moment, which still fits for her character, but to see her grow in confidence and kind of competence in this world, and also the fact, she's not like a regular civilian, but she's like kind of like a thief sort of thing. She, I was gonna say something else about.
Ving Rhames, maybe?
Sure, why not? The rest of the team, you like the Peg, you like the Rhames. They don't get a lot to do in this one.
No, they don't.
And their like little comedy routines feel a little bit forced. They're like in the middle of this, and she's like, Ethan, can you tell him he's not a better hacker than me? That's what you think.
And then Benji's like, I am done.
He smacks Rhames. I mean, okay, yeah. Should we talk a couple of overacting moments? Because there's that was one of my problems with this, especially comparatively to the last one. And the last one I rewatched a bit of it recently because it was on TV. Definitely has a lot of really cheesy dialogue and cheesy performances. Like the scene where Cavill is talking to Angela Bassett. I didn't remember this, but like the way he's like, "How long until a man like that has had enough?" And it like feels very high school play.
Tom Cruise has had enough.
But there's a lot of that in this where like. A lot of lines where, I mean, there's the Simon Pegg absolute just vomit disgust of, it knows who I am! When he reads the message on the bomb. The entire scene of the CIA in that room that Cruise, throws the gas, whatever. The entire scene where they're, like, fucking, what's his name? Kitchener?
Kittredge.
Kittredge? In that scene when he's talking to Cruise, every line he does, he's like, he's so, I mean, he like whispers, he's like, know what you're involved in. And it's like, your days of fighting for the greater good, Cruise. Like they're over. And if it's like one line of like that,
you're walking here
for emphasis, that kind of But when you do every line like that, and there's a lot of, I don't know, a lot of different kind of moments and lines that I guess because it's sort of a silly action movie doesn't bother me as much. But it's also funny because I mean it's such cartoonish action, it's such cartoonish dialogue. And then there are moments where it seems to take itself very seriously and be very sincere. And those moments I found a bit unintentionally funny. Like, I don't know, but
I didn't love just moving on to a slightly separate thing where it's also like a man who's very serious all the time. Gabriel,
yeah,
not a huge fan.
Kind of a mid-villain. And the whole AI thing, not the most compelling plot device.
Why is he suddenly chosen? He doesn't love bringing death. He loves bringing the pain that comes with death. It's like Gabriel, literally kind of a mid-fighter who almost lost.
Literally wears a scarf all the time.
My boy just got a cold. Like if you properly just like sent 2 people after him in a fist fight, he'd be done. I'm done.
It's my name.
It knows who I
am. Why is he from like Louisiana now? It's my name. No, I agree. I thought he was, not anything that special. And it was, I don't know, a bit ham-fisted when it's like the connection with Cruise and like this is how Cruise became an agent because he shot his wife or something.
Is that in the first movie?
No. So that's I assume the next movie is gonna like open with some flashback scene of that or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But it felt like
I thought that was gonna be some like callback to the first movie, which I haven't seen. But that's just
It felt like kind of a hammy way to make it like this time it's personal or whatever the fuck. Also, I just want just a minor thing, but I just thought this was so stupid because they treat it like such a dramatic moment when they're in that party and the AI's in the walls or whatever, and they're like, you could say the interested party is this party. And it's like, and then they're like, oh my god, and it's like, it's literally like that's a screen. Like the AI is in your phone anyway. Like it doesn't matter. It's on the wall. It's just like a projector. What do you like? Of course,
you're sitting there like, guys, why are you? What are you not getting?
What are you doing? Of course, it was the party.
He is everywhere. This is obviously the party.
It's him.
Guys, it's him.
I have to say, really big fan of the Dumb and Dumber detective guys.
What was the CIA FBI dudes? Just literally the most useless. Where is it? I've seen that guy before though.
Shea Wiggum. He plays a cop in every movie. He's a cop in Joker. He's a cop, I think, in like a Spider-Man movie. He's one of those guys who's in like every show and
Just
stuff.
generic, yeah.
Cop guy.
Generic.
But I
cop
like
dude.
him.
He's just so weird. Like, he's got literally every single scene, apart from the very end, is him being like, I'm gonna catch Cruz, Mrs. Cruz. Just a Looney Tunes story
Again,
throughout.
That was what made it so cartoon. Like, it was. Have you ever seen Tintin?
I love Tintin.
Fucking what's their name? Thompson and Thompson.
Yeah.
Literally them. That
is them.
Which is kind of just dropping that into a Mission Impossible movie, kind of great.
And also weirdly dickish towards like Kittredge at the end. Well, really, sir, if you're not here, it ain't none of your damn business. It's like, okay,
Fuck you.
I don't get why he did that.
The ending also got a little bit. Like, throughout the film, there's a lot of shit going on, like a lot of players involved, and generally it works pretty well. At the end, I was kind of like, who's doing what here? So, like, the CIA, like, Kittredge is there, but I guess he's doing something, like, sneaky, but not that bad. But then the other, like, CIA guy's there, but he's actually bad.
But so did he know from the beginning?
Like, at the end, yeah, I was kind of like, because there are, like, two twists where it's like, actually, it was the government guy. And I was kind of like, which one of these is worse? Because then at the end, they're kind of like, Kittredge is talking to Haley Atwell, like, they're kind of, like, things are cool.
like they're chilling.
So he's not...
And the thing is, like, I thought Kittredge was a villain now. From the beginning, but I guess he's fine.
Yeah, at the end, there was a little bit too much, and then it fucking cuts to Cruz on his little bike, like, I'm fine, what way, Benji?
Benji, where the fuck am I?
Well, you see the train, don't you?
I'm trying my best. It knows my name.
I am done.
I also thought, this is a minor one, but a representative of, there are a lot of stupid moments throughout, which does not break a movie, especially like a movie like this. It does take you out of it a little bit. Because at the end, fucking Kittredge meeting Haley Atwell disguised as the White Widow or whatever she's called.
Yeah.
First
Vanessa
of all,
Kirby.
He's the head of the IMF. He can't tell, like, he hasn't had a little bit of experience where she's also not good at it. Like, she's constantly messing up.
Not good at it.
And her eyes are different.
Yeah, I kept thinking
she has, the White Widow has such distinctively blue eyes.
And then Haley Atwell comes in with the brownest eyes.
Her brother's right there. What the fuck? How does he not notice? How does Kittredge, the head of this whole operation, not be like, this seems like someone wearing a mask, because I've seen that a trillion fucking times.
Because that is literally my invention.
That's like
and my
only job.
My only job is masks.
Genuinely. And also, I was a little bit confused, because then there were a couple moments in that scene where I was a little bit like, what's happening? Because then he slides over to the phone and is like, just insert your bank details. And I was like, oh, this is going to be like a big moment, because like she looks like her, but she doesn't have her bank details. But then she just enters like her own, I guess.
But then why does she cancel?
And also, wouldn't they very easily track that to her?
They definitely would. And also, just like...
It's $100 million in Bitcoin.
That's a lot of money. But I also, again, like, I know that it was like symbolic, it's like, oh yeah, I don't do it for myself now. I'm joining the IMF. Yeah, decline.
Right.
Well, why?
But
just take the money. You could do that
money and run. Your plan was great.
Well, still, like, you can.
I mean, your plan was pretty shoddy. Like, next time I see you, even I won't remember this happened. Like, bruh. That's what Kittredge says.
This is very important that this woman, Grace, she's great. I won't even remember I said this. Wink.
Opens brown ass eyes. We have to address the elephant in the room here. Cruz's returning obsession with close-up magic.
Yes.
I think this requires like maybe an intervention. So this is in the first movie. I didn't even remember this. But it was a thing in the first movie where he does like a little card trick. But the thing is, in that movie, from memory,
it's done tastefully.
Gratuitous.
It's not in your face all the time.
I think it's like a fun thing about the character because he's kind of, sneaky and he's doing
whimsical.
like a bit of a nuisance.
Channeling his Willy Wonka energy.
He's kind of just doing a trick like, check this out, whatever. And this one, it's so weirdly forced in where Cruz is like, oh, you want the key? This key? Or this key?
Joke's on you. It's the same key.
Disappears in a cloud of smoke. Yeah, kind of very goofy, but also hilarious. Big Riz from the Cruise.
Huge Riz. There was one point where... well, you tell it, because you were the victim of it.
Where she's like, my lawyer? Who's my lawyer? And you walk into the room, and then you just lean over and whisper, the Rizzler strikes. as Cruise appears in just the dapperest suit
with glasses on. Very handsome, it must be said.
with a book open, just, oh, hello there.
Oh, hello there.
Definitely the start of a porno right there.
100%.
Yeah, I don't really know if there's a lot else that I have to say
What
here.
do we think about Mantis in this?
I liked her. Like,
She was good.
She was fun. She was a fun, like, kind of Bond-esque, like, side
Sidekick,
villain.
yeah. Very,
Cruise does bash her head into a wall.
Yeah, at
She's
one
like,
point-
you spared my life. It's like, did he really?
Did he
I
really?
think
He almost
you got
concussed you, and then
got
didn't kill you.
Really lucky that didn't kill you immediately.
Yeah.
Cruise is like, oh shit, you're alive?
This really worked out for me. Another magic trick.
Avoiding homicide charges.
She did feel very much like the John Wick 2 villain, I think. Is that?
Oh yeah, Ruby Rose.
Ruby Rose.
Yeah.
But she was cool. I liked her. I don't fully get the thing of like, oh, he spared my life, so now I must save him.
Yeah, that seemed a little.
You're gonna betray me because he saved you. It's like, okay.
I know this wasn't like what it was, but it was kind of funny at the end where she whispers, she's talking about the submarine, and she's like, Sous-marin, and it looks like Cruise has like the most ingenious revelation. He goes, Sous-marin, submarine. Wait a minute.
I cracked it.
The penny drops. Yeah, I mean, should we talk 4D?
I think we talk 4D.
So this was your first experience in 4D cinema.
Yeah.
Which, for those who don't know, is the seats move. They
Seats
spray
move.
you with water.
There's some smoke coming out
some
at times.
smoke, a couple smells here and there. They punch you in
They
the back.
punch you in the fucking back.
They did
That was because you told me about it, like that you experienced it one time. I was like, okay, it surely can't be bad. But what the fuck was that?
The rest of it is kind of like, oh, this is sort of weird and fun. It's like a carnival ride. And then at one point, like when characters fall on their back, part of the back of the chair like hits you.
Hits you in the back.
Like
I'm like,
properly,
"Paw."
like as if someone kicked you in the back of the chair or something. And it's
It's
like
crazy.
That's not cool, you know. That actually hurts.
I get why they say people with like back problems shouldn't do this because
Yeah.
it actually. Okay. It
Actually
did.
fucked me up, you know.
Man, I've been walking crooked ever since. Like it obviously didn't like hurt, but like
But it was
I can see how if you're in the wrong position that'd be like
Yeah,
you know
that'd be kind of rough.
um
But what are we thinking?
I think it was a great time.
It
So
was-
much fun. I think it made it like a 8 out of 10 time into 100%.
That was a 10 out of 10 movie experience.
Terrible.
It's like an 8 out of 10 into an A+.
Yeah, that's definitely like a 10 out of 10 experience where there was one point, especially during the car chase scene, you and I were just sitting there like maniacally laughing because like the seats were moving. It was crazy. Also, there were times when I was sitting there like when there was like a quiet talking scene and nothing was going on with the seats. So I almost kind of forgot we were there, and then out of nowhere, like
And then suddenly
I get punched in the back.
well, it was so funny because it went so much harder than I think either of us were expecting. Because I've done it a couple times before, but it was with like I think like Doctor Strange 2 or something, not like an extreme action movie,
Yeah.
like action heavy. And so it was the Rome car chase. It really felt like you were in that fucking car.
It actually felt like you were
To their credit.
Yeah, to their credit, and like it felt
Like
like,
going
you were
down
in a
the
proper like
stairs.
roller coaster thing, like just poof.
Yeah, and fucking like every time it hit a wall, there was like.
Yeah, I know it was actually very, very enjoyable.
But yeah, which unironically kind of immerses you a little bit more in the
It
action,
does.
but also is fucking hilarious. Like just you being tossed around the cinema like a fucking rag doll.
I will say, my one and only complaint with it,
I think I know where this is going.
right? So, let me just say, we're in the desert.
There's a desert sequence.
There's
towards
a
the start of
desert
this film.
sequence where there's a desert storm that comes in, a sandstorm, right?
There is.
Now, I can't think of anything, and this is not a joke, anything that would make me think less of water than a desert storm scene, right? What does the cinema do as we like get engulfed in the sand? It sprays water on
does
us.
spray water.
What is that?
It was kind of hilarious.
It's
think-
so strange to me.
It was the only thing they could spray us with to like make it seem like there was some kind of atmosphere.
Okay.
Also, by the way, that gas, that's gotta be poisonous or something. That shit smelled real weird. I'm not gonna lie.
There's also the weird things under the seat that kind of like
Oh yeah,
blew
there's
out
like,
on your legs.
Some weird shit. I
Which,
mean,
like mainly happened when Cruise would stop his motorbike or start it.
yeah. I mean, kind of an amazing invention, this 4D thing.
Love it.
I would not recommend it. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it for a movie that you want to take too seriously. I mean, I saw it for a second time, so I was whatever. I guess it was your first time.
Oppenheimer. It's time.
God, that would actually kill me. An enjoyable time. I'm not gonna lie.
100%. We sat
fucking
there-
crazy.
It was like the whole scene with like the little car, just crazy. Like when they
so
were like
absurd.
rolling down, we were just like, getting thrown from side to
Genuinely,
side.
I think that's the hardest I've laughed in a cinema in like a very long time.
Because we're just like, we're looking at each other and then in the movie and we're just absolutely losing our shit.
Everyone's just careening around the cinema. It's like,
so
how is
fun.
this legal? There must be like so many.
Genuinely, how are we not wearing seatbelts there? Like, we could 100% have like fallen out of those seats.
Such a lawsuit waiting to happen. Like, I mean, I love it, but
Yeah.
someone needs to get us to sign some shit before we do that. But overall, Mission Impossible 7: Dead Reckoning Part 1, I would say a very fun time.
Yeah.
Kind of not as engaging plot or villain or dialogue as some previous films. A lot of fun action, and also not as great action as the previous film, but still really
Still
good
very
stuff.
solid.
And fun character dynamics, specifically Haley Atwell and Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Well, very appropriately, it is now time for
The News.
Now, there are a lot of articles here about Tom Cruise allegedly maybe leaving Scientology.
Oh.
I thought we wouldn't really get into that because we kind of avoided the Cruise Scientology thing in general.
Well, I feel like it's been very just kind of... It hasn't been front stage lately.
Yeah, and also, I'm not going to lie, I'm not trying to say Scientology scares me, but, you know, you hear things, and I don't know.
Yeah.
It seemed like a thing where it's like, probably better just not to get into that.
Not to antagonize, maybe.
Let's just not dive super deep into this stuff. If we don't have to. I don't really know much about it. Like I hear all the jokes about it, but you don't really know. I don't know like how seriously
they take
if there's
it.
like something actually really bad, if it's more of a joke. So I was like, let's just not really get too much into it. So instead, we found this article from Screen Rant. Tom Cruise is the biggest loser of Barbenheimer.
And this picture where he looks genuinely so worried.
Career done. I am done. Which, by the way, before we get into this is kind of something I was thinking because Barbenheimer was such a huge thing that Mission Impossible kind of got buried. No one really talked about it that much this summer.
100%. I was kind of sitting there like, I don't know, it's a pretty huge franchise, and then like the whole Barbenheimer thing just very much overshadowed it completely. Very like what's the word I'm looking for? Unfortunate box office release date for Cruise.
Yeah, well, there was that whole thing about the IMAX screens as well. But
yeah, true.
It says here from Screen Rant, Mission Impossible 7's box office was tanked by Barbie and Oppenheimer. While the box office takings by no means slim, film has earned over $500 million at the time of this writing. However, Dead Reckoning Part 1's bloated production budget means the film is still likely to make a loss in its theatrical run, which is pretty crazy, actually. So anyway, yeah, I mean, Oppenheimer and Barbie was the thing of the summer, and Cruise kind of got left in the dust a little bit there.
Yeah.
Even though we have proclaimed on his behalf, movies are back.
Movies are back.
Multiple times, just randomly. Bit of a, yeah.
So it says he needs to make, or the movie needs to make $600 million to turn a profit, right?
According to this, yeah. Because of like,
how much has it made now?
I think it's made like $500 million, it says here.
But when was this written?
I think it was pretty recent, but because also you have to take into account marketing as well, which usually doubles a film's budget. I guess that's where they're getting $600 million from. So yeah, it's only made $525 million is still really good, but
okay,
yeah, not the most like fortunate release time for it, I'd say. But with that in mind, we're gonna go over to the announcements and such segment. First of all, a comment from the Spotify comments where it says like, what did you think of this episode? And you can leave a comment there. Rowan says, good episode as always. So thank you, Rowan. Appreciate it. And on the YouTube for the Barbenheimer pod, Josie says, the boys are back with 15 replies. This seems like it could go down a terrible route.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'm not even going to name names here. I'm just gonna run through this. So,
okay, are you sure?
I mean, it seems to be Al Feld and Daniel and, Shelf.
Okay,
the usual suspects.
The usual suspects, yeah.
And more importantly, on a Friday, hell yeah, I'm going to need a dub. Big dub. Dub maker, what a joke. Tophammer?
Probably Toppenheimer, maybe?
Toppenheimer, what a joke. Sloppenheimer, what a pew. Ken, what a hung. Oompa, what a loompa.
Oompa, what a loompa.
Chalamet, what a I think it's supposed to say wonka. It says wacka, which I hope...
Chalamet, what a wacka.
Which I hope isn't like a offensive
slur
word in some way.
Chalamet, what a wacka.
Matt Damon, what an aggressive general. Cillian Murphy, what a Ted Bundy-esque man, which I believe is how you referred to his physical appearance. Harrison Ford, what a senior citizen. Random shot. Tyrese Gibson, what an annoying human. Brutal. And Robert, what a Downey Jr. Good ending.
Very fair. Yeah, it went full circle at the end. It was very nice.
Alfeld says, thank you, but you have to make Cheats News a monthly thing. Damn it. This is clearly a legally binding contract.
Thank you, but you've not done enough.
Also, some Cheats news that you probably didn't know, but Cheats actually voiced Donald Duck not just once, but 2 times in the DuckTales reboot. I did actually know that.
What? That's so random.
He is Donald Duck. Also in that show is, what's his name? The bad guy from Jessica Jones. David Tennant.
Oh, I love David Tennant.
And Abed.
I hate Abed.
I hate you. Josie says Donald Cheadle Duck. And Daniel says Cheadle the Duck. So, some interesting takes here.
Cheadle the Duck.
I don't know if we can handle this kind of controversy. ZJ says, great way to spend a Friday afternoon. Disagree with some of your Oppenheimer criticism, but you guys didn't mention these 2 chuckle-worthy moments. The scene where Oppenheimer has his epic superhero suit-up moment grabbing his hat and pipe. I did actually laugh at that movie. That was pretty good.
True.
And the scene where JFK was name-dropped in a way that was meant to be mind-blowing mention. And that was also, kind of Marvel adjacent. And finally, Freddy turned into Stoppenheimer with those 2 in front of him. Deep cut there. The 2 people he was told to be quiet.
Now it stops.
Hashtag BHL hates old people. Hashtag Toppenheimer. Hashtag the bussy never dies. Not really sure what that's in reference to.
So true.
Shelf Enthusiast says, great pod as always, though gotta say I disagreed somewhat with your opinions on Barbie. I think the film was going for a more absurdist approach where the idea of what's real and what isn't is less important than the emotions the film is trying to display. Personally, I loved it, but I can definitely understand where you're coming from. Good to see another Friday pod. The boys are back in town. By the way, out of the 2 of you, Freddy definitely has the most Kenergy. What the fuck?
Let's go!
I mean, I can't disagree, but
brutal. It's good to hear it out loud.
Hashtag Toppenheimer, hashtag I am Knuff, hashtag bring back the bussy.
Hashtag bring back the pussy.
I think this is because I tried to shut it down last episode. Maybe this is a rebellion forming.
Yeah, it's it's the resistance.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, I've had, also from people in my personal life, we've had kind of debates on the Barbie and Oppenheimer stuff. One of my friends said, who really loved Oppenheimer, he was like, you guys really slated Oppenheimer there. I was like, motherfucker, I gave it 4 stars.
Yeah, 4 stars.
We talked about how great. I thought it was like great. Like I don't know, maybe because we spend more time talking about the negatives, but I feel like that's not indicative of what
there's not much to really like. This was great. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's what I didn't like and why.
It's
like
more,
it's much easier to talk about what was less good because there's more substance to go into detail in,
And it's also sometimes more fun to, especially if it's silly criticism and like kind of memes or whatever. But anyway, on the Barbie stuff, I can totally see that. Again, I get the absurdist thing. I feel like it just, I don't know, they didn't commit to it enough in certain ways for me, but it is what it is. I respect the opinion, and thank you. Josie says, great pod as usual. I don't really have an interest in seeing Oppenheimer, but Barbie was an okay fun time for me. But I definitely prefer seeing Mission Impossible again over Barbenheimer. Can't wait to see your review on Dead Reckoning. And it was great seeing the dynamic duo back in person together. Thank you, Josie. And I hope you enjoyed the episode. Cal W says, Barbenheimer is so much fun for me. It's such a genuinely wholesome moment in this kind of bad year for movies so far. Loved both movies. I love that a 3-hour movie that is mostly just people talking in rooms with black and white scenes and a comedy are making great money. Gives me hope. Very true. I think we talked about this, but the whole Barbenheimer phenomenon was great.
So great, enjoyable.
Movies are back.
And wholesome. Movies are back, thanks to Cruise, even though he got screwed by this.
Cruise he fell on his sword for Barbenheimer
he brought him back just to bankrupt himself.
Josie says, I'd argue there are more bangers than misses this year. John Wick 4, Mission Impossible, Oppenheimer, apparently, Guardians 3, Mario, and Spider-Verse. Fair enough. I think there have been a couple of midders in there as well.
Okay, yeah. I think compared to maybe last year or the year before, definitely some bangers.
Yeah, we'll see at the end of the year. We can do like a little recap. Daniel says, another really great and enjoyable episode. Keep up the Barbenheimer work. I truly loved Oppenheimer, possibly the best cinema experience of the year for me. Truly fantastic, especially seeing the bomb scene on the big screen, fantastic. And the nuke scene was pretty cool too. The bomb scene, is this a...
I think this must be
some reference to Cillian sitting naked
Cillian
or
sitting
something?
There being a sexy boy.
That's the bomb scene or something. And I haven't seen Barbie, but it looks okay. And I realize you can turn any film into an extremely nutty time. That is fair. We turned Oppenheimer into a very nutty time. Mm-hmm. And the fact that Freddy actually liked a movie, big W, but BHL...
What the hell?
BHL saying he's better than Christopher Nolan, Greta Gerwig, big L. Well, we were definitely very serious about that. Hashtag Freddy's a pig. Hashtag...
What the fuck?
Topheimer. Hashtag sexy ass Gosling. Hashtag sexy ass Murphy. Hashtag some might say Oppenheimer has that dog in him. Hashtag Rip Cheadle. and hashtag I heart Bussy. It will never die. Who is Murphy? Oh, sorry. sorry. Let's move on.
Lead role. Who is Killian? Who is? You look genuinely so like shocked. Like, who is this Murphy they're talking about?
Josie says, I think I missed the hashtag in the last 2 episodes. So hashtag cue the intro. Hashtag Justice for Friday. Hashtag Bussenheimer. The Poorly Planned Podcast Clips says Barbenheimer. The Outlook says, in reference to this time code. Let's see. Sounds like something an old person hater would say. Hashtag I heart old pussy. God, Lele. Jaden says, I have to agree with Freddy. The Wonka trailer made me more excited for the
Let's
Wonka.
go.
The Wonka Bonanza Spectacular.
Never mind. I take back my let's go.
Looks very fun, nutty, and whimsical. Also very disappointed. Neither of you talked about Keegan-Michael Key's appearance in the trailer. I didn't notice him. Where was he? Where was Key?
Where was Key?
Where was Key? I know he's in the movie. I didn't notice him in the trailer.
Me neither.
Key was the Oompa Loompa. We just
assume it's Grant.
He looks so much like Grant. Hashtag Cillian Murphy's killer thighs. Hashtag testicle crusher Nolan. Hashtag Key the chocolate muncher. Hashtag Freddy is cinema security. Hashtag winner of most uncomfortable sex scene. That's a big shout. That'll be at the end of the year.
Nice.
Hashtag Blunt the drunk. Hashtag Hugh Grant the tiny dancer. Hashtag BHL hates old people and Greta Gerwig. I don't hate old people or Greta Gerwig.
You do.
Hashtag Sloppin' Toppenheimer, the invention of the atomic pussy. God damn it.
Sloppin' Toppenheimer, the invention of the atomic pussy. This is poetry.
Super Mason says, I'm with BHL and Wonka. I don't think it looks very good, and I don't think Timothy will be a good William. I'm also not a big... Who addresses him as William? How dare you?
William Wonka.
I'm also not a big fan of him because he's always felt like that high school douchebag that thinks he's better than everyone that's now successful, and it makes everyone who knew him mad. But that's just me. I don't know. I'll still see it for the Humpa Loompa. The Humpa Loompa.
That is the greatest.
Super Mason should have our podcast. How did we not do that? That's the best thing I've ever heard.
The Humpa.
Goodness me.
God, that is so good.
That's amazing. Also,
Humpa Loompa. Also,
low-key feel like there's some unresolved issues here towards someone in your high school.
He did try to sneak away with it. I don't know though. You definitely know though.
You definitely know, and possibly have like Timothy's face on a dartboard or something. Although, in a weird way, I don't not see it.
I don't not see it.
But the Humpa Loompa, what a
Very
shout.
enjoyable.
Logan says, funny thing happened to me when I saw Mission Impossible. We were sitting waiting for the movie to start, and the manager came in and said the file of the movie broke. I feel like Cruise had something to do with this. Cruise just sabotaging his own box office numbers?
Well, you did actually have to go...
Oh, yeah, ours was... wait a minute. Look in your eyes. Hold the fuck up.
Hold the phone.
Ours was also kind of fucked up. I had to go talk to someone.
Yeah, there was like weird dots all over.
Cruise on a mad one?
Cruise, what you doing?
Cruise on a mad one? Also, I was disappointed we didn't see Cruise before the movie, because I saw that in America where it's like him like, hey guys, thanks for coming out to... I don't know. Hey, everyone, thanks for coming to the movie.
Hey guys!
He's Mater for some reason. And finally, Anurag says, I'm really surprised that BHL managed to talk about Oppenheimer without mentioning how he wanted to reach into the screen and strangle Albert Einstein every time he was on screen. Hashtag BHL hates old people.
Nice.
Not my favorite running joke we've had on this channel.
I very much enjoy this running joke. Mainly because it's not a joke, it's true.
Okay.
When we were in Croatia, every old person you saw, you spat on.
You said it so realistically. Well... that is the pod for this week. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell button, leave a comment down below what you thought of this episode and Mission Impossible and other things. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating, a nice review. Tell your friends. Tell others, possibly. Mm-hmm. Your enemies?
Tell your neutrals.
Closer. Tell your neutrals. You can also leave a comment on Spotify if you want, and of course we're on YouTube, where you can do the other things. You can find me on YouTube, BHL Hudson, Instagram, BHL_Hudson, Letterboxd, Real BHL Hudson. You can email the pod at bhlhudsonvids@gmail.com.
You can find me on Twitter at FTK_DaltSniper. You can find me on Instagram at Fidelgard. You can find me on Letterboxd at FTK_Thwilms, and on YouTube at FTK Space Gaming.
Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next time.
It knows my name.